The time is 6:15. Here is the news, edited by Anjana Dudangoda, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The President directs to conduct a population and housing census. The Prime Minister calls for speedy implementation of official language policy. Minister of Education plans to transform country's education system. Indian Foreign Secretary calls on Sri Lankan President. Minister of Transport tells National Transport Commission to conduct an investigation and submit a report on bus accident in Polonnaruwa. Over 3,300 student nurses recruited to nursing schools. Foreign news, Russian submarine commander killed inside Russia. Sports news, tennis, Djokovic, Alcaraz stay on track for Wimbledon showdown. Local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has directed to conduct a census of population and housing in 2023 and 2024. Accordingly, the extraordinary Gazette notifications in this regard has been issued by the President Ranil Wickremesinghe in his capacity as the Minister of Finance, Economic Stabilization and National Policies by virtue of the powers vested in him by Section 2 of the Census Ordinance, Chapter 143. The 15th Population and Housing Census of the country was scheduled to be held in the year 2021. However, the government took steps to postpone it due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. The first population and housing census in Sri Lanka was conducted in 1871, and the last population and housing census was conducted in 2012. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says expediting the implementation of official language policy will enhance cohesion in the multilingual Sri Lankan society. Addressing an event in Colombo, the Prime Minister urged all relevant institutions and departments to take effective steps to this end. These remarks were made during the Symposium of National Languages Equality Advancement Project on Monday. Speaking further, Gunawardena said the cohesion of any nation with different communities depends largely on the ability to communicate with each other. Language is an inalienable right of the people, and communication rights involve freedom of opinion and expression, participation in one's own culture, linguistic rights, rights to education, privacy, and assembly, he added. Education Minister Dr. Sushil Premchand says the country's education system will undergo an educational transformation, and essential measures will be taken to produce students who are prepared for the 21st century. According to the Education Minister, human resources will be managed for that purpose and education will be reformatted in accordance with the worldwide standards in order to produce a sustainable and high-quality education. Expressing his views during a press conference themed "The Collective Path to Stable Country," held at the Presidential Media Center today, Minister Premchand added that this Suraksha Sisu Rakshana insurance scheme introduced for school children, which was suspended due to the financial crisis, will resume in 2024. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you.
Continuing with more local news, Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena yesterday said that he was saddened by the loss of lives and injuries to people during the bus accident in Manampetiya last Sunday. The minister, addressing the media during the launch of Sri Lanka Transport Board mobile and web-based applications for long-distance buses at the Media Ministry, said that he informed the National Transport Commission to conduct an investigation and submit a report as soon as possible regarding the accident. He further said had published an advertisement informing that all passenger buses operating island-wide should obtain license and legal action will be taken against bus operators that do not have such permission. The Health Ministry has recruited 3,315 more student nurses to further strengthen the nursing service in Sri Lanka. The recruitment letters for the selected group will be awarded by the Health Minister Dr. Keheli Rambukwella at the Ministry today. Accordingly, the appointment letters will be given symbolically by the Minister to a group of appointees from the Colombo district, and in addition to that, steps have been taken to give appointment letters to other students on the same day at provincial level. Training is provided for those students in 15 nursing schools across the country. That ends local news.
Elevate your life with People's Bank Excelsior. A comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Quatra called on Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe on Tuesday. The meeting took place at the Ministry of Defence, the President's media division said. The Indian Foreign Secretary also met with his Sri Lankan counterpart Aruni Wijewardena earlier today at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Colombo. Meanwhile, the meeting between the Foreign Secretary Quatra and Sri Lankan Foreign Minister Ali Sabri has focused on strengthening of the bilateral relationship between the two nations for the mutual benefits of its people. The Indian Foreign Secretary arrived on the island on Monday for a two-day official visit to prepare the ground for Wickremesinghe's upcoming visit to New Delhi, scheduled for July 20th. The Sri Lankan President's upcoming India visit is first since taking office in 2022. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the recent spike in road accident deaths and injuries has yet again prompted the authorities to call for driver discipline, the lack of which has been identified as a main cause of road deaths. According to the police, an estimated 930 fatal accidents have resulted in 976 deaths from January to June this year. Preliminary investigations have revealed the private passenger bus accident near the Malampitiya Kotaliya Bridge on Sunday night, where 11 passengers were killed, was due to the driving at excessive speed with a broken spring leaf. It is said that the driver had driven at high speed with a broken spring leaf and had lost control of the bus near the Kotaliya Bridge, and it had gone off the road and had fallen into the stream. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, headlines first. Russian submarine commander killed inside Russia. 50 rescued by swift boat in flash floods rage in Vermont, New York. Thailand's monarchy looms over battle for Prime Minister. Foreign news in detail. A Russian submarine commander was shot to death in the southern Russian city of Krasnodar on Monday, the apparent details of which were revealed by Ukrainian intelligence that stopped short of claiming responsibility for the shooting. Stanislav Ritsky was killed earlier this week by an unknown person, Russian state news agency TASS reported, adding that the motive for the crime is being investigated. Suspects for Ritsky's death have been identified according to TASS. Torrential downpours unleashed flash floods on the U.S. Northeast on Monday that washed out roadways, overwhelmed rivers, prompted 50 swift boat rescues and killed a woman who was swept away in front of her fiancé, officials said. More than 13 million Americans were under flood watches and warnings from eastern New York State to Boston and western Maine to the northeast. the Northern Weather Service said in its forecast Monday, after storms that began over the weekend inundated rivers and streams. The role of the monarchy in Thailand is causing a deadlock as reforms seek to challenge the power of the royalist military establishment, with the Progressive Move Forward Party proposing to amend the country's lèse-majesté law. The proposal to amend the lèse-majesté law, which punishes insulting a monarchy with up to 15 years in prison, is seen as radical in the country where reverence for the monarch is deeply ingrained and seen as central to national identity. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Russian submarine commander killed inside Russia. 50 rescued by swift boat and flash floods rage in Vermont, New York. Thailand's monarchy looms over battle for Prime Minister. That ends World News. Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Desha Sri Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Sri Lanka is discussing $220 million in power sector financing with China's Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Vijayasakara said, following a meeting with the lender and India's National Thermal Power Corporation. Sri Lanka State-run Ceylon Electricity Board and NPTC is building a 130-megawatt joint venture solar farm in Sampur, Trincomalee. That ends Development News.
Vacancies for women from Desha Sri Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500.
Moving on to sports news, top seed Carlos Alcaraz underlined his status as the main likeliest to stop Novak Djokovic winning another Wimbledon after beating 2021 finalist Matteo Berrettini in the fourth round. The 20-year-old Spaniard fought back to win 3-6, 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 and reach the SW19 quarterfinals for the first time. Djokovic, 36, remains the man to beat after his victory over Hubert Hurkacz. The Serb second seed, who cannot meet Alcaraz until the final, is aiming for the fifth successive Wimbledon title, which would also see him equal Roger Federer's record of 8 men's singles victory. That ends sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැන් පුහින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB I Am, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Low-cost airline Thai Air Asia on Sunday resumed its direct 4 times weekly flights between Bangkok and Thailand and Colombo. The first flight, Thai Air Asia AIQ 140 from Don Mueang International Airport, arrived at the Bandar Naik International Airport few days ago. An A320 Airbus aircraft carrying 134 passengers and 7 crew arrived Sunday night and returned to Bangkok with 174 passengers. The passengers were warmly welcomed at BIA upon their arrival with a traditional Kandyan dancing performance and Sri Lanka Tea Board Ceylon tea gift packs, airport authorities said. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැන් පුහින පුහීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news.
The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval for the combined proposal to sign a joint declaration of intent between the Government of India and the Government of Sri Lanka to work together to achieve the goals of improving the quality of dairy products in Sri Lanka. Addressing the Cabinet discussion press briefing today, Cabinet spokesman Bandula Guruvardhana stated that the program will assist in making the country self-sufficient in milk production and increasing the income of small-scale dairy farmers. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's clearance has been received for the joint declaration of intent that has been drafted for this purpose. Accordingly, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the combined proposal presented by the President and the Minister of Agriculture to sign the said joint declaration of intent. That came to you on Economic News.
Weather report.
The Meteorology Department says several spells of light showers will occur in western Sambragammu and northwestern provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Showers may occur in the northern and eastern provinces and in Polonnaruwa district during the morning. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in Ur province and in Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the evening or night. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines. The President directs to conduct a population and housing census. The Prime Minister calls for speedy implementation of official language policy. Minister of Education plans to transform country's education system. Indian Foreign Secretary calls on Sri Lankan President. Minister of Transport tells National Transport Commission to conduct an investigation and submit a report on bus accident in Polonnaruwa. Over 3,300 student nurses recruited to nursing schools. Foreign news, Russian submarine commander killed inside Russia. Sports news, tennis, Djokovic, Alcaraz stay on track for Wimbledon showdown. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to Chandima Virakon.